not come back because you've been changed. The vice president has led the digitalization effort with my support and all of my officers to put in place an online system. Now the online system is being manipulated so that people can make money off it. This particular
Right, welcome back to the show. So that was the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, Madam Shirley Ayoko Butri Esquire, and visiting the passport application centers. They didn't know she was coming, and we were there with our cameras, so we saw everything that happened on the ground. But first of all, let's talk about this move by the Minister for Foreign Affairs. Is it really normal that any person in leadership in charge of a government institution could just get up and show up at the offices that they are supposed to supervise or superintend and just catch up with happenings on the ground? Is that Farouk? Let me start with you.
In the first place, anyway, Happy New Year to your cherished viewers and listeners. I don't think it's supposed to be the work of the sector minister either. Notwithstanding, I don't think it's too bad that she went there. But then the point is that, how did we get to that point? How did we get there? That the distinguished honorable minister moving out from her office, going to the passport office, and you could tell out the angry manner in which...
The
frustration. Listen, it's not about leadership or to show that, yes, I've come to do X, Y, Z is the issue. What is the root cause here? And how did we get to this point? That should be the subject matter to be addressed by the minister. We've been in this country. We've created avenue for any time called guru boys, guru men, guru men. What do you want them to do? If your system itself does not correct itself. We have a country, 39 million or getting to 40 million. We've done and we've used one centralized system of passport acquisition, Prof. Since independence. You have regions of 16. Population after independence of 4 million had grown up to almost 40 million. Until today, you said that the whole Ghana, we should all, whether we like it or not, apply passport in Accra.
No, we are no more applying passports in
no,
Accra. We have passport
in
applications. No, when you go to Takoradi and other regions, because we followed the minister to some of these regions, the eastern region, the western region. I don't know if you know about that for setup of passport application centers. So we cannot say that that's the situation on the ground.
So my beautiful girl, somebody applies for passport in Wasa area, in western region. It takes 8 months for the person to get a passport. I need my passport to travel in the next 2-3 weeks. If I come to Accra, Prof, I'll get it. Is that the system that we're talking about here? Yes, they've done well, decentralize it to some extent, but it is so indirectly centralized because of the duration and the frustration people go through. Now, let's check out across the West African sub-region, not to go beyond. Which country do you go to their passport office that you find over 200, 300, 400 people sitting from morning to evening waiting for their passport application, just wanted to capture fingerprint, etc. The story in Accra is not different from the story in Kumasi. You are telling me that it's decentralized. Yes. But then let somebody tell you their story in Kumasi who have applied for passport and the person is waiting in 5 months and that person needs a passport for emergency trip because he or she needs to go through a medical operation. Do you think the person will say no? The person will not say. Now, beside that, the minister at the passport office, what they suppose maybe advice that one can give free of charge, pro bono, is that every country in this world, including the Western nations, they take passport from the post office, certified SYZ. Now, this is a country where how many people have internet or who understands even how to fill the forms? They do not know how to fill the forms. They can't go to the post office or a passport agency, a post, where even passport application will be filled. We don't have that in this country. Now, what do you need to do? What they're supposed to do, you are talking about Goro Boy. You call them Goro Boy because they hang in there at the passport office. But then I understand that without those people too, it would have been difficult for people even to see what is passport. Therefore, there should be rather, in my view, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, that is their outfit. What they could do is to fine-tune, have a proper registration of, let's say, we're giving the whole Accra 100 certified agents. Bring money, 20,000 Ghana cedis, register, you are certified. What does it mean? What it means is that the passport applicants, you're supposed to go to them, pay their fees. So instead of everybody coming to look for who that you can reach at the passport office, they can go to those certified agents. It's only their file that goes. What is the meaning of this visa application center that we have over here? All the Schengen everybody is using. How do we call it?
VFS?
Yes.
That's a third party.
Yes. So VFS, what is that? Europeans, are you telling me that, excuse me, the Indian company knows better than the embassies and diplomats who are here in terms of visa? No, because they could not just handle the volumes of applications. So we give to a third party, let them work it out. Passport office, Ministry of Foreign Affairs is not a subject matter, because my question is that since the minister went there and left, has it stopped? Answer is no. Since the minister went there, the 3,000 now is 4,000. When is she going back to control? You are telling me of report. Which report? White paper or green paper or blue paper? Report in Ghana here has made use to change any dynamics of anything? No. Therefore, the best and the easiest resolution or the discussion here is that the passport office, and for that matter, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, must find a certified agent, not more than Accra 100 or 50, depending on the size of the region. So nobody goes to the passport office, because through that agent, they know that it will be fast-tracked. They know that they will follow the applications. You don't expect me to sit in Samaboy and then go out there and have a fingerprint in the, what's the name, that region, Western North. And then I'm sitting there, you are meeting only one immigration officer. And he has no story, he has no answer for you, Prof. Anytime you go there, in fear Accra, you are telling me it's decentralized, but why is it waiting for Accra? So therefore, if you don't do this, don't blame anybody, calling anybody that they are Guru people, because if they are Guru people, that is where they make their money. Either than that, let our system work. There wouldn't be any Guru people. Is the story different from license office? No. So the minister has done well, but she needs, if she wants to control, monitor, and supervise, she needs daily, not one time in 3 months to visit that. That issue is still prevailing tomorrow. Monday morning when they open, the Guru boys are in action. Without them, most people are not getting visa. What about during Hajj time? So this is not a matter of, yes, it's good. She showcased, she did it unannounced, you call it unannounced. Well, but it doesn't change anything in my view, Prof.
Right, Prof. So, but according to Farouk, the move is not out of place. It's in order, right? But this shouldn't be the minister, the sector minister's role in going to the ground and, you know, supervising how things are. The system should work. What do you have to say?
Well, I agree, broadly with what he has to say, because you see, there's somebody in charge of passport, a director of passports, who reports to the minister. So the minister has to go there herself to do this, what I call lamentation. Then what's the issue here? Because, and like he said, has the problem been solved? Because you see, you need to go to the root of every issue before you discuss it. Why do we have the Goro boys syndrome? Because you see, if there's inefficiency in the system, if the system doesn't work, you see we have the centralized system, but people are not, it's not working for people. So everybody is now coming back to the center. So because they are coming to the center, then those so-called Goro boys are having jobs to do. So the system needs to work. If the system works, then I don't have to bother in coming to Accra to chase after my passport.
But one would also say that was a display of leadership.
No, see, you see, here's my thing.
Once in a while, getting out of the office. It also shows that the ministry has collected information, all the complaints lodged by Ghanaians, and they want to make sure, according to the minister, the systems have been put in place. Unfortunately, there are staff who are manipulating the system. So how do we go about it?
My question is, do you have to come and lament to us? What power do I have to do anything about that? If people are working under you and there are issues, you take action. The minister's job would have been to announce that because of the systemic issues in the passport office, I'm taking the following actions. These people, exactly. Then you are working for us, because we should be lamenting, we should be complaining. She is not being paid to complain. She is paid to take action against wrongdoing in his ministry. Do you see the difference? I'm a customer, I'm a citizen, I pay my taxes, I want things to be done for me. You are a minister appointed to serve me. So if things are not going well, you don't come and complain the same way I'll be complaining. She shouldn't be complaining and be lamenting. All that she's doing is just a political show off. I mean, so
you think that was a political show off?
No. Because what has happened since? What actually has happened since?
Have you had anyone who have said to you that I am still paying over 3,000 cedis to acquire passports?
No, you see, that's what I'm saying. The minister should have. You see, minister is supposed to be in charge of policy. The policy is that passport acquisition should no longer be a hazard. Now you say there are people who are undermining that effort. So come and outline for us what you are doing to stop that. Then we can all see clarity. But if we haven't done that, we just come and lament and complain, and that's the end of. Once the TV cameras are off, we don't hear about the issue again. So maybe you, the journalist who followed here, that's not my job.
Right.
The media should follow up and see, okay, we came to the minister to do this. What is happening since his visit? And we report back to the Ghanaian people. That's your job.
We will also pay an announced visit to the passport application centers to see visit to the passport office.
Because he is also higher than the minister. If the minister went and it's still not working, then let's see that. Is that the case?
But I think the frustration stems from the fact that the system is being manipulated by staff of the agency. That is the concern, not necessarily
and you see,
to
one
lament.
of the things, remember one of the things that happened, the minister actually announced that those on secondment, from the various agencies, she was asking them to go back.
Yes.
But that was very wrong also, because the people didn't come there by themselves. This is an arrangement among various agencies of government, the military, immigration, what have you. So if there are issues, they should be discussing that at that level with those agencies before coming to announce. You don't come and tell a mere worker that go home, pack and go home.
And even, Prof, to support you here, Harriet, how do you, one passport office, going through that systematic application, just one passport office, this is an immigration, this is a police, national security, BNI, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, BEF and that, what and that, all this, a chain. Which country does that? Just application of a passport and you have this agency. They are human. They are human beings. What is the action? You think what are they to do? There's a congestion. What about when the passport office itself, as a body and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, do not have booklets? Is that the work of the agents? Is that the work of the Guru boys? Who creates that kind of shortage? That artificial shortage, if at any given time that you have that artificial shortage, then you rather empower them also to work. In any case, you know your passport will be dying down, meaning that you are going to exhaust your stock. What do? You can't give and allow a country that is a traveling nation 5 months passport to my, we don't have a passport. What do you think? The little and the few that you have, there's a congestion. Demand and supply action of the mankind. So if there's a pressure on it, there is these things, it cannot. She can be a messiah to solve this problem if they don't tackle the grassroots.
So the problem must be tackled from the grassroots.
That's what she has to
thank
do.
you very much, gentlemen. Now we are moving on. Unfortunately, it appears, like you rightly mentioned, 1 hour will not be enough for us to exhaust all these topics. But let's quickly move on to another important subject that took place right here in the country. The 75th United Nations UN Peacekeeping Ministerial Meeting was held right here in Accra with a call on member states to commit to the cause of multilateralism and international solidarity by exploring innovative ways to resolve conflicts, maintain peace and security, and devise strategic ways to confront challenges facing peacekeeping in contemporary times. The 5th edition of the UN Peacekeeping Ministerial Meeting was the first of its kind in Ghana as well as in Africa, with over 600 delegates in attendance. We have a clip from that particular assignment and would like to play. I hope you're able to hear the sound this time around. Okay, we are ready.
The challenges we face demand sustained commitment and collaboration. I urge each participant to translate the insights gained and the commitments made during our time together here into tangible actions that will contribute to peaceful and a global peace and security. It is my hope that our time together during the technical sessions of the ministerial meeting will be marked by a rich tapestry of ideas perspectives, and collaborative efforts, as well as the continuous collective commitment by all member states geared towards the strengthening of the United Nations peacekeeping operations in line with the Secretary General's action on peacekeeping together with the A4P Plus members. Throughout the ministerial meeting, my expectation is that the depth of our discussions, the diversity of viewpoints, and pledges made would be underpinned by the strength that arise from our unity in addressing the multifaceted challenges that define our global landscape today.
We need the recommitment of your country, the political recommitment to peacekeeping, and I think that the fact that so many of you have come to Accra is a reflection of that strong commitment. It is very heartening to see this level of attendance and this expression of such a strong dedication to peacekeeping.
The challenges we face demand sustained commitment and collaboration. I urge each participant to translate the insights gained and the commitments made during our time together here into tangible actions that will contribute to peaceful and a global peace and security. It is my hope that our time together during the technical sessions of the ministerial meeting.
Welcome back to the studios, and we are talking about the 75th United Nations Peacekeeping Ministerial Meeting held here in Accra. That was the first to have happened on the African continent, and it took place in Ghana. For me, I would want to know the message these kinds of events do send to the outside world. So I want us to discuss what this means to us as a country, being the first of its kind to have happened on the African continent and in Ghana. What do you think?
Where do I start? Well, good. I mean, if this is the first happening in Ghana,
right,
good enough. It throws light on our country, and it draws attention to our contributions to the UN peacekeeping. But see, for me, when I look at international relations, issues about multilateralism, about peacekeeping, we need to address these issues holistically. I mean, fine, peacekeeping is fine, but why are we not talking about issues that lead to events that will call for peacekeeping? Do you understand? Because since the end of the Cold War, Africa has almost become the battleground for warfare among the powerful countries. There are proxy wars going on this continent.
Every day.
Yeah, the literature shows that there's increase in intra-state conflict since the end of the Cold War. And if you trace it carefully, the so-called big powers are part and parcel of the reasons why we are having this war, this conflict. Places like DR Congo, Sudan, South Sudan, now happening in Sudan itself. All these areas calling for peacekeepers. We need to address what causes this conflict and what is the role of these big powers. It's not enough to celebrate multilateralism or peacekeeping. We have been taking part in peacekeeping operations ever since our independence. But we should be asking tough questions that why should peacekeeping be the priority and not peacemaking? Making sure that we don't get to a point where we have to send soldiers to keep the peace. What is the role of international body? I've always said that if you look at conflict in Africa, you look at the type of weaponry that is being used, you ask the question, are these weapons made in Africa?
No.
Obviously, these weapons are not made in Africa.
And where are they made from?
Where are they made from? And why are we not asking questions so that you are making things to be used to kill
So you
human
think
beings?
it's a matter of interest?
So I believe strongly that we should be addressing, if you say we should be multilateral in our approach to international relations, then we should be asking these questions that, yes, I mean, everybody would like peace and prosperity to be the order of the day.
Right,
but the continuity of conflict doesn't happen in a vacuum. We need to look at the historical, theoretical, and practical reasons why conflicts continue to happen and whose interest it serves if there are conflicts before we even go to the issue of peacekeeping. Because it's not enough, because you don't distract or you don't destroy countries, you don't demolish buildings, you don't kill human beings, only to deploy peacekeepers who will keep peace.
But Farouk, let me come to you. I want to believe that this was very strategic when the United Nations co-hosted this event with Ghana. Very, very strategic in the sense that Ghana is a peaceful country, and especially on the African continent, this part of the world, and also in the sub-region. It is important that we continue to be, well informed and push for initiatives that would continue to, maintain the peace and Ghana's contribution, like you rightly stated, cannot be, underestimated. But I was thinking that it will give us some leverage at the international or on the international platform. It's a signal. It sends a good message. What would you say?
Yeah, for data.
Be the first.
Leverage it gives the country.
Right.
But let me just only quick to say that Ghana is the Switzerland or the Geneva of West Africa, and for that matter, Africa. If you check, I've told you before, any United Nations General Assembly, the first African country to speak is Ghana, even when we have a military leader. Ordinarily, it's supposed not to be the case.
Right.
When even you have a uniform and Rawlings date, back-to-back, Akufo, and all of them, they featured. One would ask that, is that the strongest country in Africa? Answer is no, in terms of economic size, population, etc. So Ghana has posited and then positioned herself when it comes to international diplomacy.
Right.
But then here is the catch. The catch is that, yes, it's very nice. My country understand the UN setup. Having this kind of peacekeeping, it throws highlight. I'll quote the word of Prof.
The gateway to Africa.
Yes, it has always been the gateway, but then we want not only the gateway, we want also the destination. The gateway had been too much. Now, I would ask the UN. I have things to know, or I know things about arms acquisition, etc. My simplest question. Africa, we have conflicts and fights all over. We've had more than 5 or 8 systems or countries that have plunged into genocide. Do you get me? Now, either rebels, either Al-Qaeda, either Ansawad, either Ansardine, either, how do we call it, ISIS or Daesh, any of the forms that are fighting today, question that UN supposed to answer is that member countries, no African country produces a weapon except South Africa. The only country on the continent of Africa and Egypt army that produces their weapons. But then let us find out the weapons in the hands of our rebels or terrorists or jihadists. Are you getting me?
Yeah.
Or bandit group.
Or rebels.
Which were rebels, that we have them more than 16 alone in a country of the Maghreb area and then Mali alone. So those arms in their hand, quoting Boko Haram, that is so powerful that they can fight Nigeria army, the biggest on the African continent, with weapons active, and they've not exhausted their weaponry. Now, when you go to the African Union, and for that matter, even the ECOWAS, Abuja, before you secure or acquire any weapon from any country, which I've done that for Ghana, so I know what I'm talking about, you need the end user certificate, the EUC. The end user certificate should be issued by Abuja. Are you getting me? To enable the European counterpart or the Turkish or the Italian or the American company producing the weapon, they must also subject the same end user certificate to the UN or the body. If it is in the case of Europe, they must show it to European Union to certify before the production, and after the production is also certified. Now the question is very simple. Which ports of entry does Boko Haram take their stock of their cache of weapons? Where do they get it from? Ansawad, where do they get it from? Ansardine, where do they get it from? Al-Qaeda or Daesh or ISIS, where do they get it from? The bandit group spread across the entire Africa. Where do they get their weapons from? Now, the UN is aware and they know factories and companies that are producing weapons. There is no weapon that is being produced in Ghana. Thank God, our customary system, our traditional institute system, have managed the Ghana bush. So we don't have any green uniform here, blue uniform or blue helmet. For me, I'm coming back that the 75th such a session held in Ghana, and it's a good news. Yes, fine, it's a good news. They should have taken it to Congo, where the fight is going on. They should have taken it to South Sudan, where the fight is going on. They should have taken it to Sudan, where Buran, what they are doing now, destroying the country. If you bring it to Ghana, Fair deal. It is a normal diplomatic tea party affair. Because they themselves, they are afraid. And they want security. But if the UN Congress and that particular number of 600 which you are talking, we should boast of it. Thank you. Let the 600 distinguished men and women go to Congo and have a field and sleep in a hotel and see how the Congolese, how terrified they are and how they are afraid.
But this was the first one that took place.
No, it doesn't matter. The first one should take place.
Perhaps subsequent events.
The first one is the novelty. The first one should take place of where the conflict is. You don't come to Accra because it's peace. You can sleep at Kenspiski, have your nice dream, drink, eat, and then Ghana. Ghana is a fine country. It's peaceful because we are peaceful. It is not you that made Ghana peaceful. We've had coup d'etats. Ike Champon.
We had heads of state and governments representing.
But we've never had anything in our bush. Ghana Green Bush is only Alavanyo and Konya that is having a new bush that we have activity. We don't have anything. So UN is not wrong, not mistaken bringing it to Ghana. But then in my view, there's 75th. UN is 75 years since 1949. We are, Prof is asking a question, I'm asking the same question. That how do we sit until the destruction, until people are killed, until people have lost properties, until the country is plunged into genocide and activities. Before UN now comes that we're going to peace, we're going to peacekeeping. I'm saying that the peacekeeping, if people were to go there with machete, with knife or cutlass, you can't kill 20 people a day. With one gun, you can kill more than 200 people a day. So how do you stop is the question of how UN as a body must be able to stop. Because even the countries where the UN is fully activated, fully participating, they themselves have challenges because the UN peacekeeping platform or the group, the contingent, the army, I'm sorry, it's not pro bono. The UN operations in a country, it is not a pro bono. If you care to know, the country is also surcharged. The country pays some dues or pays some money higher than the normal regular because your country, you want UN to support. Why do we sit down? Okay, why is it UN? This session must have taken place in Germany. Why not? Why not maybe
it's because of the insecurity.
The insecurity is not
on
in
the African continent.
Yes,
but my point is, it needed to be held in a place where there is security. So security needed to be taken into consideration. You cannot host this program in any other country that you don't feel like there is security or you don't feel safe. So Ghana seems to be a good place for so many reasons.
Beyond that, I think, you see, the discussion should be broadened to include, I mean, where are we as a global system in this 21st century?
And if you look
at that, the hypocritical nature of multilateralism is the fact that as we are talking now, there's a war in Gaza.
And you term it as hypocritical.
Yes, because you see the same UN,
they haven't gone there.
The charter says that it's only the Security Council that can authorize use of force.
But we can't run down multilateralism too.
No. Listen to my point.
Listen
to my point. The charter is being abused because Israel
unilaterally
is in Gaza.
It's in Gaza.
You see, Hamas is not a country, but human beings live in Palestinian territories. Now the powerful countries are preventing action to be taken at the Security Council to stop Israel.
And yet
they are coming to make peace. Where people are suffering, look at the number of people who have been killed in Gaza.
Yesterday, 200.
Every day people are being killed.
Prof, agreed.
Yes, so my point is that when you have these conferences, you should take, and Ghana is being highlighted, and I have my own issues about Ghana. Ghana happens to be in the Security Council at this point in time.
Right.
What has been our actions in relation to this ongoing crisis?
And what our president spoke.
Exactly. How did we address that?
How did he address?
Everybody is praising South Africa for being proactive, for taking action. Ghana happens to be in the Security Council. We are hosting this
2002.
And now what are we doing?
2022.
So at the end of the day, for me, I'm not against hosting of the event in Ghana.
Okay.
I just thought that when we talk about multilateralism, the respect for the UN Charter and all those issues have to be discussed properly.
No, let me just support before we move to another topic. Unilateralism had been the position of a lot of the Western countries. And UN sits down. And they don't talk, they don't do anything. Bringing the event in Africa, of course, you wanted to have a peaceful place to sleep. I've said it. If they are taken to a place where the bombs are shelling, where there are hotels, there is an issue. Mali is there. This place is there. That place is there. Sudan, South Sudan, Sudan itself.
How safe will it be?
If they are not safe, the people.
Farouk, how safe will it be?
The diplomats want to be safe.
They needed a place that was safe to be able to convey the message.
Yes, they should convey. That is why they should ask themselves. If they are talking about words, read the message what they delivered. We want to live in peace and alleviate poverty. Has poverty been alleviated anywhere in the eyes of the UN? How does UN control certain countries and they can control not others?
And I thought this is a lost opportunity. You see, we are having wars in Ukraine, Russia, in the Middle East. So you could have, like Farouk is saying, go to to highlight the dangers of war, the repercussions of war. So you are using,
gentlemen, I agree. You are the experts here, but I disagree with you. I disagree with you on this particular issue. That there was no way this could have been held in a place that was not, that there was no security. How were they going to handle, peacefully discuss all the issues? And they needed a very good place like safety.
My question. You are asking the question. I'll ask your question.
I am asking the question.
Okay,
you can't ask me a question.
Can I pass a comment?
Right? No, you can't pass a comment. Please pass
the comment I'm passing, and the public should also side with me. What was the Accra Declaration by the UN? What was the charter? The agreement? The communique that UN issued in this regard? What was the final communique? Is that not the same thing that you read to me? Diplomacy is not reinvented. Diplomacy is modified. It has existed even before the UN itself in 1949 was created. They only do modification. They only do the etc. They are not writing anything new. What they are reading, sustainable, this and that, development, etc., prosperity. Who has the prosperity? Has UN been able to tell other countries that have refused to sign certain agreements and certain pacts? And the charter has to reflect.
All right, gentlemen, can we move on, please? Can we move on? Can we move on?
Yeah,
right, so if you are watching the show, or you can join us, we will have about 5 minutes to take your messages. Gentlemen, we are live. So we'll have about 5 minutes to read your messages on the show. So here is the number. It's been displayed on our screens. If you are watching us on YouTube, unfortunately, I'm told we are not streaming live on Facebook, but we are on YouTube. So you can get to go on YouTube and join the conversation. Here's the number 0544235984 displayed on our screen. So you can send us your message and we will read them. We need you to be part of the show. That's why we are going live today. All right, then. So can we move on, gentlemen? All right. So our next story, let's talk about Ghana mission in the UK, building and other properties. Well, we were told that they were being sold to defray judgment debts awarded to Trafigura. That's Ghana government. I think they were not happy with the company they did business with, so they had to take it to the courts. I'll just read this briefly, and then we will take it from there. A high court in the United Kingdom has thrown out the government of Ghana's challenge on processes used to serve the country's proceedings relating to a judgment debt claimed by Ghana Power Generating Firm, a subsidiary of international commodities company Trafigura. The company sued the Ghana government over the termination of 2 power deals and was awarded a judgment debt of $140 million by a UK court. Ghana contended, however, that the company under existing laws had to serve the government through diplomatic channels, contrary to a ruling that allowed them to use alternative service. And we can see the building, the building which harbors Ghana's High Commission in the United Kingdom, displayed on our screens. And of course, it wasn't just the building, but like we learned, there were other buildings considered to be Ghana government's property, and they were also going to be sold to defray the judgment debts awarded to Trafigura. Now, let's come back to the studio. I'm going to start this with Farouk. Farouk, in diplomatic terms, how does this work?
It is very unfortunate for any country in this part of the world to sit and then allow what we have experienced over the history, over the time, history of Ghana, what is called judgment debt, to affect your mission. Now, some of these references we will not be able to give out here. But Ghana had been in such situations, sometimes saved by the last bell. And as a country, even that company, Trafigura, They themselves domestically in UK, Patrick Gupta, he has a problem. Did they research on that company before entering in any contract with them, leading to the annulment or leading to the cancellation of the contract, which later resulted into? Patrick Gupta, go and check on the Trafigura, as you are calling it. How many cases have they themselves in the history book of the UK? How many times have they themselves also had criminal actions in the UK that they have to resolve? In any case, I'm not a lawyer, but I'm asking that the arbitration, where was it? Signing the contract, and we have an arbitration. Was it UK court or a Ghana court or international court? I haven't read the contract. But then the point is that, how was it able? Who cancelled that agreement, quote unquote? If, let's say, it was a diplomatic agreement or investment agreement or whatever agreement that was signed, was the embassy brought in? Was there any collateral? Was that building used as a collateral, or in any case, what it is? Do you understand? That building is the property of the Republic of Ghana. So if you are signing such agreements, and then in terms of collateral, whichever way, if even it did exist, at least your prime property, that could have been excluded. But if it was just left open like that, then the arbitration and then other terms or other things that goes
spelled out in the contract.
Maybe something wasn't right. Now, we've had situations, which I'm not going to quote time and etc. We've had situations where Ghana embassies, they've thrown their staff out just because of only rent. It has happened to back these two regimes. I'm not giving much information because of personalities and the embassy and the government involved. I don't want anybody to take credit. We didn't do it. All of them, MPP time, NDC time. It has happened. We've had situations that some of us have to maybe do some few calls to save a situation in Europe. So therefore, why do we sit down and always we go into judgment that, do you remember, you didn't know, there was a German company called CP, Pioneer Construction, in the 90s. That was a revolution era, so one can talk about it. They brought Ghana also to court in Germany. I happened to be a translator at the time. They came to sleep in Berlin, Palace Hotel. The officials, most of them, they are all living. They live now. It was also a judgment. That time, the awareness of judgment that was not there, so people didn't know. Ghana paid big time. Big time. So the little money that the country make, indirectly and directly, some of them are not announced. We are paying judgment, the international judgment there every day. That is one. Two, Harriet, for your information and Ghanaians' information, people systematically, deliberately create this situation to result into judgment debt. Because if you want to save this building, and Patrick Gupta is collecting this building, so where do you go and buy next? Where are you going to get that building in UK to buy, and which money are you going to buy? So if it is sold, or Patrick Gupta decides to sell it back to Ghana, at what cost, at what interest, and when? So the country sits, a Commonwealth nation, sub-Saharan nation, that's we so-called the gateway of Africa, not the destination of Africa. Gateway of Africa, we are losing as such a prime property. That is the British High Court, the Ghana High Commission in UK. We are giving that building to Patrick Gupta, who has cases in UK court and he hasn't solved. Who has issues with UK court, we haven't solved. And we could not deal with this issue, and we've gotten to this.
That's very unfortunate, but I'm just going to quote what the High Commissioner, Ghana's High Commissioner said, when he was contacted over this issue. He expressed embarrassment at the issue, embarrassment, Farouk, at this issue, and also said he didn't want this to get to this place where we are exposed to the whole world when it comes to some of these things.
But we are already.
But Prof, you know what, this is already out. I understand current developments is one of the current developments so far regarding this particular story is that the government is an agreement. They've gone back to the table to sit, negotiate, and see how best they can handle this issue. What's the picture in terms of international relations and doing business with the outside world? And what kind of picture are we painting out there? Ghana's reputation.
Yeah, but first,
and
the
image.
point Farouk made, how did we get here? Was the building used as collateral? Was it part of the agreement between the Ghana government and the company? So if that was not the case, then how did you get to a point where if the Ghana defaults, then we want to seize the building. And in any case, you see, we have diplomatic relations with the United Kingdom. Now, these country-to-country relationships, and if you look at the Geneva protocols that govern diplomatic relations, there are responsibilities that UK have towards Ghana, the same way we also have towards them.
It's reciprocal.
Exactly. Right. So one would ask that when this thing happened, what was Ghana's request or demand on the United Kingdom to intervene one way or the other? Because you see, under the Geneva Convention, you can't even arrest anybody who runs to the diplomatic mission. And we also have the WikiLeaks leader stayed in the Ecuadorian for over 7 years. You couldn't touch him. Because the protocol is clear about the fact that you cannot touch those buildings. So how come that in this case, we couldn't raise those concerns? The UK couldn't intervene to say that, look, you have issues with Ghana government, but this is a diplomatically protected building. Therefore, it's a no-go area.
Right.
Did we enforce those? Did we ask these questions? That's my problem, because diplomacy is a specialized area protected by certain specific laws. You understand? You also saw what happened when there was a demolition of a Nigerian building here in Accra. We also saw what happened when some people went to demolish part of the Nigerian High Commission in Ghana. Okay. Not even the main building, just one of the buildings. Ghana have to go to Abuja. The two parliaments have to meet. They have to trash the issue out. Ghana has to promise that they will not allow such a thing to happen again. All right. So that's why I'm asking the question, whether or not we have explored the diplomatic dimensions of this issue, and what are the UK's responsibility to Ghana in this matter. All right, we are wrapping up.
Just even to add to what Prof said, the France embassy that was located just at was the TV3 area. You know that building was directly into where we have today our presidency. Is that not it? Yeah. Now, the property is a property of the French embassy. When even we had opened that Flagstaff house and Ghana's sitting president, it was being used. The France decided not to move. They said it was their property, they wouldn't move. And imagine such a sensitive, it's an embassy that had also intel, gadgets, etc. Go and ask Ghana how long it took them to convince France to tell them that please, it is housing our presidency, so move out. Diplomacy didn't allow it quite easily like that. And diplomacy is supposed to be reciprocal. Yeah, reciprocal. So it means that we did not exhaust the same courtesies you extend to me, I must extend. So we did not exhaust our local diplomatic remedies as far as such contracts is concerned or such agreements is concerned. And primarily a private company like Patrick Gupta's company, Trafigura, for them to be able to come bold, and they are taking a British court announced judgment in favor of a country, a commodity country, a commodity company, to take Ghana property 140 million pounds, knowing that you will not be able to pay that money, you don't have the cash. Okay. Was that the first time? Gentlemen, Airways, unfortunately, we have to wrap up. I'm so sorry. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up. I was hoping we could exhaust almost all the issues here. So next week, we are coming your way again. And we are still maintaining our resource persons. I pray and I hope that they find time and to graciously grace our platforms as they have today. So I've had, I see the way you are looking at me, but you know what? Right, so I've had the honor of hosting Farouk Al-Wahab, an international diplomatic consultant. Thank you so much, Farouk, always for honoring. We have my own lecturer, Professor Lord Mauko Yevuga from Gimpa, and we'll come again. We are not done. We are not done. So next week we will continue. We have world leaders' strategic interest in Africa, which I have termed Africa for grabs. We have Africa's visa-free policy, and I mean he's been waiting for this to come up in our conversation. But next week, like I said, we'll save it. I know that will come up. Don't worry about that. It's okay, gentlemen. That's okay. So my name is Harriet Nate. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a pleasure coming your way once again. Happy New Year, and next week we will be here. Please join us next week. Have a good evening.